Now on Good Day, a full report of the 1 October shooting, why the FBI says it may not be ready by the one-year anniversary.
Plus, justice for Tashi Farmer, a rally planned this morning outside Las Vegas City Hall.
And we're starting off August with a chance of thunderstorms. Sherry's tracking that all in her Weather Now forecast.
8 News Now Good Day on the Valley's News Leader starts right now.
Now, live, this is 8 News Now Good Day.
Well, thanks for waking up with us on this beautiful Wednesday morning. I'm Nia Wong, in for Kirsten Joyce.
And I'm John Langler. It is 6 o'clock on your Wednesday morning, as a matter of fact. And look behind you, Nia. Look at that shot right there. Sherry called it apocalyptic. I just think it looks beautiful.
It is beautiful.
It is a beautiful sunrise right now, Sherry, and a beautiful day ahead.
It was really strange. And Nate and I were talking about it. The sun looks so small this morning. It almost looks like the moon instead of the sun. I don't know what it is about it. It's just a kind of a crazy shot, but image. But happy Wednesday, everybody, and welcome to August. We are leaving a very hot, humid, and somewhat stormy July behind. That's for sure. 109 yesterday. Another hot day. 92 still at the airport. Humidity is between 30 and 40%. Down slightly. We had some passing thunderstorms to the north of Clark County last night, and that provided a little northerly breeze. But those have calmed down. We'll look for clouds to grow, mountain storms to form first, and temperatures into the triple digits by noontime. We'll look for 107, 108 to start off August. It's always a hot month for us, too, and usually on the muggy side. All righty, let's get out the door at 6:01. Get a first look at your 6 a.m. commute. Good morning, Nate.
Good morning, Sherry, and good morning to you. We do have a stalled out vehicle. This is southbound on the US 95 up in the northwest part of town. So these are the folks heading down the 95 from Cheyenne to the Rainbow Curve. Off on the right shoulder, tow truck there trying to help that person out. Freeway does not appear to be affected. So we move to the South 15 coming out of the Spaghetti Bowl from Charleston heading down to Sahara. They did have some overnight lane restrictions. Those have been lifted. Of course, this will be eventually the widened I-15. There's the northbounders heading for the Spaghetti Bowl. In fact, it is crowded, slowing down a little bit on the South 95 into the Spaghetti Bowl, but the rest of the freeway system, keep your fingers crossed, off to a pleasant start on your Wednesday morning. John, Nia?
Thank you, Nate. 1 week ago, a grand jury decided to not indict former Metro police officer Kenneth Lopera, charged in the chokehold death of Tashi Farmer last spring.
Now a rally is planned for this morning outside Las Vegas City Hall. And that's where we find Hector Mejia this morning with the story. Good morning, Hector.
Good morning, John and Nia. The group with Tashi Farmer's family says they're not giving up. They're meeting here in 2 hours at 8 a.m. and then they plan to go inside for a city council meeting that starts at 9 a.m. Kenneth Lopera was not indicted last week, but court records show that charges of manslaughter and oppression under color of office still stand. The case against him has made national headlines. His arrest report claimed Lopera used a taser, struck Farmer in the head up to 12 times, and held him in an unapproved chokehold, even after another officer asked him to let go. The incident happened outside the Venetian last spring. The attorney who represents Farmer's grieving mother says the grand jury's decision to not pursue charges has been an emotional blow.
They're floored. After speaking with Trinita, she had to go lay down. She couldn't hold it together. She's upset. She's crying. She's in a nightmare that she can't get out of.
There is a court hearing on this case scheduled for tomorrow. Metro's police union says Lopera was relieved and happy with the grand jury's decision to not indict him, and that attorney who represents Farmer's family says they're pushing further legal options. He explained what they are, and you'll hear more from him ahead at 6:30. Reporting live outside City Hall, Hector Mejia, 8 News Now.
A public report on the 1 October shooting likely won't be ready until after the one-year anniversary.
Nevada's top FBI official tells 8 News Now the agency wants to get the report done right rather than get it done fast. Special Agent in Charge Aaron Rouse also said yesterday the FBI is confident Stephen Paddock was the only shooter, that he killed himself before police arrived, and the attack did not involve a broader conspiracy. Almost 1,000 FBI agents contributed to the investigation. In earlier interviews with 8 News Now, Sheriff Joe Lombardo with Metro Police said he hoped his department's report would be ready by the end of the month.
A hearing has been scheduled for the Arizona man accused of providing armor-piercing ammunition to 1 October gunman Stephen Paddock. Douglas Haig is expected in court on August 28th. His hearing has been postponed 6 times. Authorities say they found bullets inside Paddock's hotel room at the Mandalay Bay that had Haig's fingerprints on them. A local comic book artist is paying tribute to the victims of 1 October.
He and his team recently published a book made entirely of first-hand accounts from those who were at the Route 91 Harvest Festival.
Even though most of the content in there is locally driven and about local perspectives, all of this stuff matters on a greater scale beyond Las Vegas.
That's J.H. Williams. He and his wife wanted to help after 1 October, and they came up with the idea of letting survivors tell their own stories. They created a book called Where We Live. Williams says some of the people found the experience therapeutic. His goal is to get readers to look for an answer to issues like gun violence.
The book doesn't propose to have the answers, but it wants to bring up the discussions and for people to think about the humanity behind these stories. And the humanity behind the statistics. You know, well, often you see the number of how many died that night cited, but you don't see the number of how many people were actually wounded and affected cited that much that night. And that's the thing we want people to think about. All those people are going to be living with that for the rest of their lives.
You can buy Where We Live on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. 100% of the proceeds go to Route 91 Strong. It's a nonprofit that helps victims of the shooting.
Survivors, as well as those who try to help shooting victims, have just 2 months left to apply to the Nevada Victims of Crime program. Money from that program goes to reimburse people for medical bills or counseling that isn't covered by insurance. Even if you live outside of Nevada or don't have any eligible expenses right now, you're still encouraged to apply before the October 1st deadline. We've posted a link to the application on LasVegasNow.com.
6:07 on your Wednesday morning. Next on 8 News Now, Arizona took another hit from monsoon weather yesterday.
How gusty winds left behind so much damage.
Plus, a spot in Las Vegas serves nothing but bacon. We'll explain what's on the menu and the relation to a charity event going on coming up.
And before we go to break, here's a look at the CBS This Morning newsroom. They're getting your top stories ready right after Good Day at 7 o'clock.
The faithful have been waiting for this. A franchise quarterback and a fresh start on home turf. Ready to knock off Dallas in the preseason opener. 49ers Cowboys, August 9th.
neighborhood. Mondays this fall.
Legendary host Alex Trebek may be looking to retire from Jeopardy in the next couple of years. Trebek mentioned it during an interview on Fox News Channel's Objectified. The 78-year-old said there's a 50-50 chance or less that he'll return to the game show after his contract expires in 2020. Trebek has been at the helm of Jeopardy since 1984. He took a short medical leave at the beginning of the year, but you can catch Trebek on Jeopardy right here on Channel 8, weeknights at 7 p.m. following our 6 o'clock news.
It's the Daily Double. Also trending on Facebook this morning, a bacon-themed bar right here in Las Vegas. Nearly every item at the Bacon Bar, you're looking at the website, it has bacon in it or just tastes like the scrumptious meat tasty treat. They have bacon Bloody Marys, a self-serve beer wall, bacon-themed wedge salads, and their signature appetizer, man candy. There it is. It is... Well, it's bacon.
Bacon in a jar.
It was also featured on Bar Rescue. I misspoke earlier that it was connected to a charity. It's just, we just want to talk about a bar of bacon.
We just like bacon. Love bacon. And if you've ever eaten at Carson Kitchen downtown, you know they have bacon jam.
Bacon jam.
And it is delicious.
Mm-hmm. And there's another new restaurant in town.
Slater's 50/50.
Yes, and you had them on the Sunday morning show, and they have bacon and Wagyu beef, and they mix it all together, and it's like a whole bit of deliciousness. So bacon is the thing. Bacon is in.
Well, you can't go wrong with bacon. That Bacon Bar is, I believe, off of Rancho and Gowan in the northwest part of town.
Okay, there you go. And we ate with some friends in San Diego once at a restaurant that was everything bacon. I mean, everything. Bacon milkshakes. You name it, everything had bacon in it.
I feel like when we talk about bacon like this, I feel like Homer Simpson.
My stomach is growling.
Bacon.
Bacon. All right, so for all our vegan viewers, we apologize.
Vegan bacon.
Vegan bacon.
It does exist. I've had it. It's not bad.
There we go. What'd you call it? Bacon? Bacon bacon?
Bacon bacon.
Bacon bacon. All right, we're looking outside. It is a beautiful sunrise out there. We've got a few mid-level clouds. The sun came up below them, but now it's hiding behind them. And we've got a lot of temperatures hiding that 25 to 30+% humidity in the 90s and some upper 80s. So it's still feeling on the warm and muggy side to get started on August today. 70s at Red Rock and Pahrump, but still so warm. Boulder City, Laughlin, Mesquite. It was hot yesterday to finish off July at 109. Today we're looking for 108, not a lot cooler to welcome August. 5:48 the sunrise, by the way, and sunset at 7:46. So I know you feel the days get naturally shorter. 104 is the norm and 116 the record. So thankfully no records threatened as we head into our new month, but it will stay hot, and August typically is pretty hot for us. Still just water everywhere, so much rain soaking the eastern quarter of the country today, and there are still flood watches posted for places like Atlanta today, Washington, D.C., New York, Philly. Those big metropolitan areas will have lots of rain to deal with. We had thunderstorms flare up in Nye, Esmeralda, and Lincoln counties, and then those all moved up into central Nevada yesterday. And then we had another little flare up of thunderstorms late last night around midnight into 2 a.m., and those actually produced some northerly breezes into the valley. But talk about breezes. Holy cow, Arizona, check this out. They had hurricane force winds across the Phoenix area. Look at the dust storm. The winds were clocked at about 75 miles an hour, and you can see the trees just whipping, and there was even a 60-foot palm tree that was broken in half. And check out the tails on these small airplanes sitting there. It literally lifted, those winds lifted these small planes up and scooted them around a little bit. This was some very dangerous wind. Trees were snapped and lifted into power lines, and there were quite a few people without power for a while. So that was Monday evening into Monday night storms in the Phoenix area. All right, for us, we're looking at still the threat of thunderstorms in the mountains first. 85 up there at Mount Charleston, so another hot, juiced up day. Again, humidity's down a little bit for the valley, but we're still looking at a lot of heat to start to cook with. You got moisture in the air and a lot of heat, and we're still looking for isolated storms today. Then we get a drier influence from the west, and that will really take over as we finish the work week and head into the weekend. Still hot, though, at 107. Just lots of sunscreen and water for anything you have planned outdoors. 6:15, we got to get a look at the roads with Nate.
You know what, Sherry? It has been a quiet Wednesday. We want to keep it that way. There is a stalled vehicle. This is southbound on the US 95 coming up on Cheyenne, up in the northwest part of town. Started out as that lonely vehicle. Tow truck came along, looked like it was about to hook it up, decided to move over to the right shoulder. Then the Freeway Service Patrol showed up. But the bottom line is the freeway traffic itself is moving along just fine. So we move to the I-15 coming out of the Spaghetti Bowl. Right-hand side of your screen, this is southbound 15 after Charleston, heading for the Sahara exit. There were some lane restrictions overnight. They've been lifted, cones off to the side. The northbound 15 moving along just fine. All of this stuff in the middle will be the eventual widened I-15. In the meantime, you got those restrictions, and that's leading to, of course, with a lot more traffic on the roadway. South 15, you're tapping the brakes now before Washington. The rest of the freeway system, we're going to try to keep it moving along for you on your Wednesday morning. Nia?
Thank you, Nate. 8 News Now is helping make sure students are prepared for the classroom. We're collecting donations to give to kids from at-risk schools. All you have to do is drop them off until Friday at any Smiths or Silver State Credit Union.
And a quick reminder about our own back-to-school special airing this weekend. We're going to take a look at CCSD's path forward under the leadership of new Superintendent Dr. Jesus Jara. You can catch the show right here, Saturday, 6:30 in the evening on the mighty, the one and only, Channel 8. 6:17. This month, the American Cancer Society is teaming up with local restaurants.
How you can help stick a fork in cancer.
And it is time for today's Facebook contest.
Register to win on our Facebook.
Big, only at Rampart Casino.
You're watching the Valley's news leader with Kirsten Joyce, John Langler, Sherry Swensk, and Nate Tannenbaum. This is 8 News Now. Good day.
6:20 on your Wednesday morning. What's driving you crazy? How about getting crossed up by the Pecos crossover over there by the VA hospital? Now, we mentioned this a week or so ago as the work got underway up on the Northern Beltway. But an email from Bruce makes me think we need to go over it again. Bruce writes, I'm a Vietnam vet, 68, headed to the huge VA center for my annual eye appointment. Alert, the Pecos ramp is closed. Usually, he says, I exit left and drive right up. Tens of thousands use that exit for the VA center, but no signs, no directions on alternates. He says, I ended up driving down to Losee, weaving around several streets until getting back to Pecos. He adds, I have Waze, but I didn't have the VA address. Well, first of all, Bruce, thanks for your service, and thanks to all who have served and are serving our country. But here's the deal. Work is underway on building out the entire northern 215 Beltway from 5th Street over to the Union Pacific Railroad tracks just west of Range Road. Now, that includes new interchanges and bridges at Losee, Pecos, and Lamb. But that Pecos crossover is now closed, and there's the VA hospital right there. So westbound Beltway traffic cannot turn left at Pecos to go into the VA, so you can get to Pecos by getting off at Lamb. You go down to Centennial, then west to Pecos. Now, Bruce ended up staying on the 215 over to Losee, then down to Centennial and east to Pecos. So this crossover is going to be closed for up to 3 months, so get used to it. And by the way, Bruce, the address of the VA hospital is 6900 North Pecos in North Las Vegas, 89086. We're going to put all this on our website. You click on traffic and what's driving you crazy on LasVegasNow.com. Bruce, I sure hope that helps, and thanks for writing. For the rest of us, buckle up, drive carefully, and put down that phone. Something's driving you crazy? Email me, traffic8@LasVegasNow.com. Sherry?
All right. Thanks so much, Nate. The American Cancer Society is teaming up once again with local restaurants to help stick a fork in cancer. I love this. Joining us is Amanda Klein with the American Cancer Society, also known, Amanda, as Mrs. Red Rock. Yes, the reigning queen of Red Rock.
Of Red Rock, yes.
First of all, you have to tell us about that. It's your second year.
It is my second year competing as Mrs. Red Rock. This will actually be my third year competing for the title of Mrs. Nevada America.
Oh my gosh, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
What do you do as Mrs. Red Rock?
Well, one of the things that I do on a regular basis is participate in events for the American Cancer Society. That is my charity of choice, and my platform is to eradicate cancer in our lifetime.
Good for you. And you're on the board with the American Cancer Society.
Yes.
First of all, I love the name of this campaign, Stick a Fork in It.
I know.
As we all know, stick a fork in it means I'm done, and don't we wish we could be done with cancer?
Absolutely.
I think it's wonderful. The connotation is amazing. Tell us about Stick a Fork in It and the restaurants that participate in this in the month of August.
So some of the restaurants that are participating, and we're so grateful to these local organizations, are Blinders, Burgers, and Brunch. Everybody loves to brunch, right?
Sounds good.
Lola's Summerlin,
Okay.
Leticia's, both locations.
Oh, Mexican food.
I know.
It's the best. Oh, I love her.
I know. I'm going to get really hungry after this. Leticia's, Lola's Summerlin, Hash House at Go-Go on Stephanie.
Okay.
So there's so many restaurants that are participating throughout the month of August, and if you go to relayforlife.org/SNV, you'll see an entire list of restaurants that are participating.
So how do they participate and how do we participate?
So we highly encourage the whole community to go out to these restaurants throughout the month of August. There's no set menu or anything like that. You can order whatever you want, and a portion of the proceeds goes directly to the American Cancer Society.
And this is for the entire month of August. So
entire month of
starts
August.
today,
right today,
and goes for 30 days. That's that's fantastic. So, all right. So how is the money used, and how much do you expect to raise with this? Because you've done it for 2 years previously.
2 years previously, so this is our third year with Stick a Fork in Cancer, and oh gosh, I don't know exactly how much we're looking to raise, as much as humanly possible, right? But not only does Stick a Fork in Cancer help fund life-saving research, but it also supports our local programs here in Southern Nevada. For example, our Road to Recovery program, which ensures that patients have a ride to and from treatment, incredibly important, as well as support groups, our lodging program, and also education available 24/7 through our hotline and cancer.org.
And I think that's what's really important. A lot of people, when they contribute, is they want to know, especially to a national organization, they want to know where their dollars go locally here at home.
Exactly.
And they're going to help there. So, plus, you get to eat.
Hey,
right. And know that it's going for a great cause. Well, enjoy continuing your reign as Mrs. Red Rock. We appreciate that. And thank you so much for coming in. And go to our website, LasVegasNow.com. We'll have a link for all those participating restaurants too. So I say, let's eat brunch.
Yes, I'm hungry.
And support the American Cancer Society. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you coming in. All right. John?
Yep. Sherry, thank you very much. Coming up next on 8 News Now, Sheriff Joe Lombardo joins us live here in studio.
We'll ask him about Officer Kenneth Lapira not being charged for an unapproved chokehold, as well as several deadly domestic violence cases.
FBI, Tuesdays this fall.
Good morning. Now on Good Day, firefighters in California finally getting the upper hand on those wildfires. We'll tell you about the help that came from Nevada to try and relieve them.
Plus, the I-Team looks into the case of a 4-year-old's death, what police have learned about the woman accused of murder.
And more thunderstorms on the way today. Sherry has details in her Weather Now forecast.
8 News Now Good Day, the Valley's news leader, starts right now.
Now, live, this is 8 News Now, Good Day.
6:30 bright and early on your Wednesday morning. Thank you very much for waking up with us on Good Day. I'm John Langler.
And I'm Nia Wong, in for Kirsten Joyce.
All right, so behind Nia right there, it's a beautiful sunrise across southern Nevada. Looking pretty nice so far this morning. It's hot, it's monsoon season. We're used to that by now. Sherry, what are we looking at today?
Well, it looks like we're going to keep a little bit of the humidity, although humidity's down, temperatures have been up. So, you know, this time of year, it's always that trade-off. We finished July at a hot 109. So it has been a little hard to cool off in the overnight hours. And now that the sun is up, These are our coolest temps of the day here over the next hour. This is it. 92 right in the middle of town. Some 80s. Henderson 83, but 37% humidity. So again, it's still warm and muggy. We had some passing showers and thunderstorms late yesterday into Lincoln, 9, Esmeralda counties, and then they eventually kind of died off in the overnight hours. But it kind of blew some northerly breezes. Those have calmed down. So now we'll just heat up. We'll be back into the triple digits by lunchtime. Looking for a hot day, 107, 108 for your first day of August. And we'll look to the mountains for the first sign of storms and then possible isolated showers around the valley. 6:30, we're on the roads. It's always this time when things start to get heavier, right, Nate?
Yes, there are more folks on the roadway right now, but there's not a whole lot going on. If we're talking about a stalled vehicle off to the side of the road, that's not bad. This is on the northwest part of town, southbound US 95 around Cheyenne. Car's been sitting off on the right shoulder for quite a while. Tow truck has not taken it away yet, but again, it is not affecting your freeway drive. Had a report of a crash on the South 15 between Charleston and Sahara. That would be pretty ugly, but so far nothing is showing up there. These are the folks southbound on 15 on the right-hand side of your screen after Charleston, heading for the Sahara flyover exit. The northbounders on the other side heading for the Spaghetti Bowl, and of course the wide open space that will eventually be the new I-15. It is crowded in the Spaghetti Bowl. You got company pretty much back to Washington, but that's normal for this time of day. You're tapping the brakes and moving on through. John, Nia.
Thank you, Nate. Over in California, better weather today is helping firefighters on the front lines of more than a dozen wildfires.
In Redding, California, the Carr Fire, the deadliest of those fires. It's happening right now, and it's one of the most destructive in California's history. It's burned an area larger than the city of Denver and destroyed more than 900 homes. Nearly 3,000 people have been evacuated, including the National Guard is now helping, battling the flames in triple-digit heat. Near Yosemite National Park, the Ferguson fire is still burning out of control after 19 days of burning. Parts of Yosemite will stay closed at least until Sunday.
16 National Guard soldiers from Reno left for Lakeport, California on Monday via helicopters. Between the two of them, they dropped 41 buckets of water on the flames.
Currently, 17 personnel is part of that package supporting both those aircraft, including the air crews. As far as preparation, every year the Nevada National Guard goes through a series of training events to prepare for wildfires.
One fuel truck and one shop truck will also be used to assist in those firefighting efforts. There's an agreement between California and Nevada to share assets, even in the absence of an emergency declaration.
6:32 right now. It's been a week since a grand jury decided not to indict former Metro Police Officer Kenneth LaPera in the chokehold death of Tashi Farmer.
A Farmer's family is holding a rally at Las Vegas City Hall in just a few hours. That's where we find Hector Mejia reporting live on what's planned ahead. Good morning, Hector.
Good morning, Nia and John. Once the group assembles out here at 8 o'clock this morning, they then plan to move inside and sit through a city council meeting, which starts at 9 this morning. Court records show that charges of manslaughter and oppression under color of office against Kenneth LaPera still stand. There is a court hearing scheduled for tomorrow, and the attorney who represents Tashi Farmer's family tells us they are pushing for other legal options.
There are two different sets of charges. So the Clark County charges would be under state law, Nevada state law, and then the FBI has jurisdiction over federal crimes. So it's a crime to violate somebody's civil rights, and we would be asking the FBI to investigate that crime.
The case has made national headlines. LaPera's arrest report claimed he used a taser, struck Farmer in the head up to 12 times, and held him in an unapproved chokehold even after another officer asked him to let go. Farmer died as a result. That incident, you might remember, happened outside the Venetian last spring, and LaPera was one of several officers who responded to that incident. Farmer was not armed. Reporting live, Hector Mejia, 8 News Now.
Hector, thank you for that report. We are following breaking news from the northeast part of the valley. That's where a man shot at a person breaking into his house.
Happened on the inside a home at Pecos and Cary this morning. This is a live shot outside of the house where this allegedly took place. Metro Police says the victim was alone, heard a noise, and when he went to investigate, saw someone inside his bedroom. That person grabbed his gun and fired 3 shots. The burglar wasn't hit. He took off into the neighborhood, and Metro right now is still searching for that man. A local woman faces child abuse charges in the death of a 4-year-old boy. It's a story you'll only see here on 8 News Now. The child was found with injuries all over his body on Monday. You're looking at a picture of the suspect there. And that child died at the hospital on Tuesday. According to Metro Police, a call for help was made early Monday morning about a child who drowned in a bathtub. But when investigators showed up at this apartment on Silverado Ranch near Bermuda, they didn't find any signs of drowning. Instead, officers found the child unconscious. 42-year-old Crystal Stevens is under arrest for murder, child abuse, and neglect charges. The I-team has also learned Stevens is not the child's mother. A local church community is mourning the loss of their pastor, killed in a tragic accident in Alaska.
50-year-old Stephen Willis was one of 10 people in a commercial canoe when it capsized in an Alaskan river Monday. He was the only one who did not survive. His wife sent us these photos. Willis was the senior pastor at First Christian Church. He also served as a chaplain with Metro and responded on 1 October. Willis worked closely with the Miracle League of Las Vegas, which brings adults and special needs children together to play baseball. Sheriff Joe Lombardo is answering your questions live in studio.
Next on 8 News Now, we'll talk about a variety of things, including the issue of opioid abuse, not within law enforcement, that law enforcement is investigating, and a recent decision from a judge not to charge former Metro officer Kenneth LaPera on that chokehold we just addressed here on the show. Plus, a storm brings down a plane in Mexico. We'll tell you about the amazing story of survival next on the Valley's News Leader.
Neighborhood, Mondays this fall.
You're watching the Valley's News Leader with Kirsten Joyce, John Langler, Sherry Swensk, and Nate Tannenbaum. This is 8 News Now. Good day.
It's Wednesday and time for Las Vegas 51's Puppy Picks. Good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning.
Animal Foundation is here with us, and you have a beautiful girl in a pink Daisy Collar. Yes. Good morning. Who have you got?
So today we have 7-year-old Belle. She's a pit bull mix, we believe. She's a sweetheart that just wants to play. Even though she is a little older, she still has a lot of energy.
She's got a beautiful face, and she's so sweet. You were telling me that she seems really good with other dogs that you've noticed, so except when she looks in the camera and she sees herself.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were passing by some dogs. They tried barking at her. She would just walk really easy on the leash, too.
Yeah, so didn't even react.
No.
Well, she's been very, very sweet and calm in here, that's for sure. How old is she?
She's about 7 years old.
And she is ready to pick a winner for the Las Vegas 51s. Well, thank you so much for bringing her in.
Thank you for having us.
A stray or a turn-in, do you know much about her?
She was a return, so we did have her. She was adopted, and she was returned about 3 weeks ago, unfortunately.
All right, she needs to find a good home and a good fit, something that fits right for a family. All right, you do our pick today for a lucky winner, a grand slam or a home run package to a Las Vegas 51s game. You go for it, Belle.
Which one do you want?
Pick the winner. Either pick it. She's leaning towards the Grand Slam winner. 5 reserve seats to a 51s game. Cosmo Bucks, 25 Cosmo Bucks, and gets to throw out the first pitch of the game. Thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you for having
You're
us.
a hard-working volunteer for the Animal Foundation. All right, you get the bonus also, Belle. Let's find Belle a good home, shall we? Well, if you'd like to adopt Belle, you can call the Animal Foundation later today at the number right there on your screen, 702-384-3333. Dogs 30 pounds and over are free until the 15th, so she won't cost you a dime. Also, cats, older cats, and all rabbits are free at the Animal Foundation right there. So let's take a look at what's going on with weather. Around the country right now, we've got some storms all through the East Coast. We'll be looking at those thunderstorms for the east side, but for us here on the West Coast, we're just going to stay a little hot and humid in the desert. Right now we've got temperatures in the 90s. And so that's just making it a little uncomfortable. Even though our humidity is down, you can see how dry and calm it is through the middle of the country. They've got flood watches and warnings posted for areas like Atlanta, up to Washington, D.C., where they'll be getting thunderstorms again today. We had an outbreak of some monsoon storms through central Nevada. They kind of started in northern Nye and Lincoln counties, and then they just kind of made their way up into the central part of the state. But things are going to change as we get into August now, our first few days. We've got a big trough of low pressure out here that's going to move into the Pacific Northwest, and that will increase the drier southwesterly flow for the desert. It's going to help push that monsoon moisture away, and we'll start to feel a drier influence as we get into your weekend. Doesn't mean we're going to be any cooler, but it does mean it's going to help dry the air out a little bit. Today, we still stand a chance of some isolated thunderstorms. We've got plenty of heat to cook those up, and then once we start getting that drier air in from the west, we'll keep the heat, but you know, that drier heat always feels better. We'll show you that in the 7-day forecast coming right up. Right now, let's get to the roads, check in on the commute with Nate, see how, hey, things kind of disappeared out there.
Yes, they did. It sounded like you said that the heat feels like a dryer.
No, well, there's that.
Yeah, we got that going on. And you're right. It's almost like it was here and now it's gone. Well, it was actually there for quite a while. There was a stall southbound on the 95 around Cheyenne. Never really affected traffic. It's moving very nicely from Cheyenne, heading all the way down towards the Rainbow Curve. Not a whole lot of traffic going the other way up towards Craig and beyond into the northwest. Meanwhile, we move to the South 15. This is coming out of the Spaghetti Bowl. Right-hand side of your screen, this is southbound after Charleston, heading to the Sahara flyover ramp and beyond. Northbounders, you're doing just fine. Now it is slow in the Spaghetti Bowl, as happens just about every day. That means southbound I-15, you're jammed up here at about Washington. Maybe some slowing back towards Owens, but the lanes are open. John?
All right, Nate, thank you very much. Every Wednesday, we should sit down with Sheriff Joe Lombardo for our Morning Cup of Joe segment. And look who it is. It's Sheriff Joe Lombardo. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
Answering viewer questions as we do. And let's get right into things here. Let's start talking about something we've just addressed in the show earlier. Last week, a grand jury deciding not to charge former Metro officer Kenneth LaPera for the unapproved chokehold in the death of Tashi Farmer. Just get some perspective from you, perhaps, on what took place, the reaction that you've had from seeing how this played out, and just some perspective.
Well, it was interesting from the beginning. You know, we just, as an organization or the police department, decided to charge Ken LaPera. We submitted those charges to the district attorney, and the district attorney takes it upon themselves to decide whether to move forward, the validity of the charges, what form to take the case per se. and the district attorney chose the grand jury. So, as you mentioned, the grand jury decided not to indict. And the grand jury is done in secrecy, so we're not privy to exactly what the jury members were thinking or their decision process or what was the actual point of contention for them not to indict. So at this point, the district attorney has to make a decision to take it to the regular process, either through a preliminary hearing or just step back, send it to the Police Fatality Review Board and present that in the public forum.
But certainly, at least from Metro's point of view, since you recommended charges, it's Metro's point of view that Mr. LaPera broke the law.
Yeah, and within the policy and the law, as far as the level of use of force.
Okay. A couple other cases we've had recently around the valley, domestic violence cases ending in deaths of individuals around the valley. What is your response to some of these recent cases, and how are officers trained to handle specifically domestic violence issues?
Yeah, you are correct. There has been an increase in domestic violence with murder associated with it. In my jurisdiction, right around 22, I believe it is, which would be around 25% of our total murders that have taken place here today are directly related to domestic violence. Yeah. You know, it's a point of contention, or actually it's not a point of contention, it's a point of concern for me as a head of law enforcement, because that's a very common call for our police officers to respond to on a daily basis. And it's important for them to raise it to the appropriate level of their concern and the investigation associated with it. Because we all know it's a crime of passion. It's a crime that tends to escalate over time if it's not addressed. So I think the most important piece is for people who are usually aware of it, you know, either through family members or friends, for them to seek help for the individual who may be in a position where they can't seek help themselves. Sure. But as far as law enforcement, it's important for us to do the proper investigation and follow-up, ensure that we're dotting the I's to get them the help that is needed, because it could escalate unbeknownst to us. Yeah. So your question was, how are we trained? Well, because it's such a common call for us, and it's a big part of what we do. We're extensively trained on how to deal with it, how to provide the resources for the individual victim, how to recognize it, and ensure we do the right things associated with it.
Try and stop the cycle at some point, hopefully.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Another issue that we've been covering here at 8 News Now has to deal with opioid abuse. We've done some special reports on this. Can you give some idea of how big of an issue it is here in the Valley from a law enforcement standpoint?
You know, that's a great question. It's a timely question because recently in a conference that I attended, that was the conversation that was taking place. How is the opioid issue affecting law enforcement across the United States? So if you look at it in statistical numbers, I believe the last numbers I've seen in 16 is the most recent update, is right around 65,000 ODs across the United States. So that's the most common cause of death for Americans under the age of 50. We've never reached those numbers before, so it's something that has a big concern of ours. So how does law enforcement deal with it? Well, it's more of a medical health issue than it is a law enforcement issue. I don't want to, you know, minimize it, but it's I guess would it be partnership. For us to solve this issue, it requires us to have a partnership with all the resources available to deal with it. Now, law enforcement in particular, I believe the opioid epidemic directly relates to our property crime issue. Mm-hmm. So these individuals that go from legal prescriptions and eventually illegal heroin per se, or fentanyl, it requires a lot of cash to fund that habit. And how do they get their cash? Property crimes victimize people in order to pay for it. And if you look at our property crime numbers year to date, we're flat, and we were down the previous year. And in my opinion, I could directly relate it to that type of issue that we're dealing with.
Okay. Well, Sheriff, thank you very much for joining us again this morning, taking some questions from us. We'll take some questions from viewers as well. If you have a question for Sheriff Joe Lombardo, you can submit it at LasVegasNow.com. Look for the link on the right side of the page, and you can find out if your question was answered every Wednesday. Nia?
Thank you, John. Just ahead on 8 News Now, a plane crash in Mexico sends dozens to the hospital. What passengers noticed on board before the plane went down. Plus,
Good morning. Ahead on CBS this morning, we'll talk to the CIA's former acting director, Michael Morell, about a new coordinated campaign by the Russians on Facebook to influence the midterm election. And one day after actor Alan Alda revealed his Parkinson's diagnosis on CBS this morning, we'll get an update on the effort to find a cure from a Parkinson's expert and how exercise can help patients. See you right.
CBS. You're watching 8 News Now. Good day.
Welcome back. Time now for your 3 top stories before you head out the door.
Overnight, North Korea handed over 55 caskets, holding the remains of American soldiers killed during the Korean War. North Korea only provided a single military dog tag, no other information that could help the U.S. identify individual soldiers. The remains were flown to Hawaii early this morning. They will undergo forensic analysis there.
An amazing story of survival. 103 people on board an Aeromexico flight. All of them survived a serious crash in northern Mexico. Witnesses say the plane went down as a powerful storm rolled in. One passenger recalled hearing an explosion right before that plane went down. Images from the crash site show the fuselage intact and lying in a horizontal position in a field. About half the people on board were hospitalized. The pilot is said to be the most seriously injured. The cause of the crash is under investigation.
In California, better weather today helping firefighters on the front lines of more than a dozen wildfires. In Redding, the Carr Fire is the deadliest of those fires. It's also the most destructive in California history, burning an area larger than the city of Denver. More than 900 homes have been destroyed. Near Yosemite National Park, the Ferguson fire still burning out of control, though, after 19 days of destruction. Quite the summer there.
Time is now 6:54. Wedding bells ringing for 2 sets of twins.
Next on 8 News Now, how it was love at sight, first sight and second sight, and third and fourth sight for all of them. It's next in the Valley's News Leader.